Clove water. You've probably seen it all over social media. Someone steeping a handful of cloves overnight, drinking the dark liquid first thing in the morning, and claiming it cures everything from blood sugar problems to bad knees to chronic fatigue. And look, some of that, it's actually real, but a lot of it is wildly exaggerated. And if you're someone who wants to know what this stuff genuinely does, backed by real research, not viral hype, you're in the right place. Because here's what happens when you actually dig into the science. Cloves are legitimately impressive, one of the most antioxidant-dense substances on the planet. There's real research on what they do for blood sugar, inflammation, oral health, digestion. The list goes on. But the specific claims floating around online, half of them are based on concentrated clove extract studies, not a cup of warm water you steeped at home. And most videos don't bother to tell you that. So that's exactly what this one's going to do differently. I'm going to walk you through 10 real evidence-backed benefits of clove water, what the science actually shows, how each one works in your body, and what the honest limitations are. I'll also show you exactly how to make it. The whole thing takes about 5 minutes. Let's get into it. Before we get into the 10 benefits, you need to understand one thing, because it changes how you look at everything else. Cloves contain a compound called eugenol. That's the main active ingredient, the thing that gives cloves their sharp, warm, distinctive smell. And eugenol is what most of the research is actually studying when scientists look at what cloves do in the body. Now here's what makes eugenol interesting for someone over 50. As you get older, your body produces more and more free radicals, unstable molecules that damage your cells over time. Joints, arteries, blood sugar regulation, immune function. Free radical damage is involved in almost every chronic condition that starts showing up in your 50s and 60s, and your body's natural ability to neutralize those free radicals. It gets weaker with age. That's the gap cloves can help fill. Eugenol is a potent antioxidant, and it also has documented anti-inflammatory properties. It works by blocking specific inflammatory pathways in the body, the same ones linked to arthritis, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic problems. So when people online say clove water is good for joints, or blood sugar, or immunity, they're not making it up. The mechanism is real. The question is just how much of that eugenol actually transfers into the water when you steep a few cloves at home. And the honest answer is some. Not as much as a concentrated supplement, but enough to be meaningful if you're drinking it consistently. Actually, let me be more precise about that. It's not just some. Studies on hot water extracts of cloves specifically have shown measurable levels of phenolic compounds and antioxidant activity. The water does pull out real bioactive molecules. It's just that the concentration is lower than what you'd get from a standardized extract, which means clove water works best as a daily habit, something you build into your routine over weeks and months, not a one-time fix. That's the foundation. Now let's talk about what it actually does. Benefit number 1. Clove water is one of the most powerful antioxidant drinks you can make at home. And I mean that in a very specific, measurable way, not just as a vague wellness claim. Scientists measure antioxidant power using something called an ORAC score. Oxygen radical absorbance capacity. Basically, it tells you how well a food neutralizes free radicals, those damaging molecules we talked about that speed up aging and drive chronic disease. Blueberries? Famous for their antioxidants. Their ORAC score is around 4,600 units per 100 grams. Pomegranate juice, another one people pay a lot of money for, comes in around 2,300. Cloves, 290,000. Per 100 grams, cloves have over 60 times the antioxidant power of blueberries. 1 teaspoon of cloves contains more antioxidants than half a cup of pomegranate juice. Now, you're not eating 100 grams of cloves. Nobody is. But even in the small amounts that steep into your water, you're getting a meaningful antioxidant hit that almost no other beverage can match. And for someone in their 50s or 60s, that matters, because this is exactly the stage of life when oxidative stress starts outpacing your body's natural defenses. Clove water isn't a magic fix, but as a daily source of antioxidants, it's hard to beat for the price. Benefit number 2. It may help support healthy blood sugar levels. This is where the research gets genuinely interesting. There was a pilot study published in BMC Complementary and Alternative Medicine in 2019, where researchers gave participants a polyphenol-rich clove extract once a day for 30 days. They split them into two groups, healthy adults and people with prediabetes, and they measured blood sugar 2 hours after meals, which is one of the most telling indicators of how well your body is managing glucose. The results were striking. In the healthy group, post-meal blood sugar dropped by 21.5%. In the pre-diabetic group, it dropped by 27.2%. Same compound, 30 days. No other changes to diet or lifestyle. Now, and this is important, that study used a concentrated standardized extract, not clove water. So we can't say clove water produces the same numbers. What we can say is that the polyphenols responsible for that effect are the same ones that steep into hot water when you make this at home. The mechanism is real. The question is dose. I see people all the time who are trying to get ahead of blood sugar issues, not diabetic, just noticing that energy crashes after meals, that the weight is creeping up, that something's off. And they want something simple, something natural, that fits into an existing routine. This is exactly the kind of habit worth building. Benefit number 3. It works against inflammation, specifically the kind that tends to build up silently over years. This is the part most people don't think about until something hurts. Chronic low-grade inflammation is behind almost every major health condition that becomes more common after 50. Joint pain, cardiovascular disease, metabolic issues. It doesn't announce itself with a fever. It just quietly accumulates until one day something aches that didn't used to ache, or a blood test comes back with markers your doctor wants to watch. Eugenol, remember that compound from earlier, works by suppressing a specific inflammatory pathway in the body called NF-κB. Research published in the Journal of Pharmacy and Pharmacology showed that clove extract significantly inhibited the production of IL-1V and IL-6 in immune cells. Those are pro-inflammatory cytokines, the same ones associated with arthritis, heart disease, and accelerated aging. So what does that mean in plain language? Clove contains compounds that tell your immune system to dial back the inflammation response, not suppress it entirely. Inflammation has an important job, but dial it back from that chronic, simmering level that does long-term damage. A cup of clove water isn't going to replace anti-inflammatory medication, but as one part of a consistently anti-inflammatory lifestyle, it earns its place. Benefit number 4. Clove water is genuinely good for your mouth, and not just in the obvious way. Most people know that cloves have been used for toothaches forever. Dentists have known about eugenol's numbing and antibacterial properties for over a century. It's still used in some dental cements and root canal treatments today. That's not folk medicine, that's clinical dentistry. But here's the part that tends to get skipped. Research published in the International Journal of Dentistry found that clove may help limit tooth enamel loss and could actually work alongside fluoride to protect against root decay, not instead of brushing, not instead of your dentist, alongside those things. For someone over 50, this matters more than it did at 30. Enamel doesn't grow back, gum recession doesn't reverse. The mouth is where a lot of age-related health problems quietly begin, and starting your morning with something that actively supports oral health, instead of something that works against it, is a smarter choice than most people realize. Benefit number 5. It supports digestion in a way that's particularly relevant as you get older. Your digestive system changes with age. Enzyme production slows down. The GI tract becomes less efficient. Things that never used to bother you, bloating after meals, feeling uncomfortably full, sluggish digestion, start showing up more regularly after 50. Cloves have been used for digestive support across traditional medicine systems for centuries. And the mechanism makes sense. Eugenol has been shown to stimulate digestive enzyme activity and help relax the smooth muscle of the GI tract, which means less bloating, better breakdown of food, and a more comfortable digestive process overall. Now, I want to be straight with you here. A lot of the digestive research is still in animal models. The human data is limited. What we do have is centuries of consistent traditional use across multiple cultures, a plausible biological mechanism, and a very low-risk way to test it. If bloating after meals is something you deal with, a warm cup of clove water 30 minutes before you eat is worth trying. Benefit number 6. It gives your immune system a meaningful daily boost. This connects directly back to what we covered about antioxidants and inflammation, because those two things are central to how your immune system functions. Eugenol has documented antimicrobial properties. It inhibits the growth of certain bacteria and has shown antiviral activity in lab settings. It also modulates cytokine production, which means it helps your immune response stay calibrated, not overreacting, which drives inflammation, not underreacting, which leaves you vulnerable. Think about it this way. Your immune system at 60 is not the same as it was at 30. That's just biology. It's called immunosenescence, and it's one of the reasons older adults tend to recover more slowly from illness and are more vulnerable to infections. A daily habit that consistently delivers antioxidants and anti-inflammatory compounds isn't going to reverse aging, but it gives your immune system better raw materials to work with every single day. That compounds over time. Small inputs, consistent delivery, real effect. Benefit number 7. It may help protect your bones. And this one, I want you to actually sit with this one for a moment. Bone density starts declining in your 40s. Quietly, with no symptoms, no pain, no warning. By the time most people find out their bones have weakened, they've already been losing density for a decade. And for women especially, the years after menopause accelerate that process dramatically as estrogen levels fall. Okay, so I said Eugenol might help, but let me be specific about what the research actually shows, because good for bones gets thrown around a lot. What the research has actually found is that Eugenol appears to inhibit osteoclast activity. Osteoclasts are the cells responsible for breaking bone down. And in animal models, it's been shown to reduce the kind of inflammatory signaling that drives bone resorption. That same NF-κB pathway we talked about, it's directly involved in bone loss too. Now, nobody is saying clove water is a substitute for adequate calcium, vitamin D, weight-bearing exercise, or medication if your doctor has prescribed it. Those things matter more. But here's what I want you to understand. The people who end up with serious fractures, a hip at 72, a vertebra from something as simple as a stumble, those aren't people who made one bad decision. They're people who lost a little bone density every year for 20 years because no one told them how many daily habits were quietly accelerating the process. And on the other side of that, the people who stay strong and mobile into their 70s and 80s. They're rarely doing one dramatic thing. They're doing a lot of small things consistently. Clove water isn't the whole answer, but it might be one of the small things. Benefit number 8. It supports liver health. The liver is one of those organs nobody thinks about until something goes wrong with it. But it's doing a staggering amount of work every single day, filtering toxins, regulating blood sugar, processing everything you eat and drink. And it takes a beating as we get older, especially if there's a history of alcohol, medication use, or metabolic stress. The research on cloves and liver health is mostly animal-based at this point, so I'll be clear about that. But what those studies consistently show is that clove extract helps reduce oxidative damage in liver tissue and supports the activity of antioxidant enzymes that protect liver cells. The mechanism connects directly to everything we've already talked about. Eugenol is doing the same thing in the liver that it does everywhere else, neutralizing free radicals, dialing back inflammation, protecting cells from cumulative damage. It's not a detox. It doesn't undo years of poor diet overnight. But as part of a consistent routine, it's giving one of your hardest working organs a little daily support. Benefit number 9. It may slow down some of the visible and invisible signs of cellular aging. This one connects back to the antioxidant foundation we laid at the very beginning, because oxidative stress isn't just an internal problem. It shows up in your skin. It shows up in how quickly your cells deteriorate. It's one of the core drivers of what aging actually looks like at the cellular level. Clove extract has been shown in cell studies to protect DNA from oxidative damage, And while that research used concentrated extracts rather than clove water specifically, the underlying mechanism, antioxidants neutralizing the free radicals that damage cells over time, is the same one at work when you steep cloves in hot water every morning. You're not going to reverse aging with a cup of clove water. Nobody reasonable is claiming that. But giving your cells a consistent daily source of the most antioxidant-dense spice on the planet, that's not nothing. That's exactly the kind of quiet, compounding support that shows up over months and years, not days. Benefit number 10. It's one of the simplest healthy habits you can actually stick to. And look, I know that sounds like a soft 10th benefit, but I'd argue it's one of the most important ones. Here's the pattern I see constantly. People find something genuinely good for them, a supplement, a morning routine, a dietary change, and they do it intensely for 2 weeks and then stop. Because it was complicated or expensive, or it took too much willpower to maintain. And the science on almost every health intervention shows the same thing. Consistency over time beats intensity in the short term, every single time. Clove water costs almost nothing. A bag of whole cloves lasts for months. The preparation takes 5 minutes. It's warm, it has a pleasant spiced flavor, and it fits into a morning routine without disrupting anything else. That's not a small thing. That's the difference between a health habit that actually changes your life and one that becomes a forgotten supplement in the back of a cabinet. So with all of that said, let's talk about how to actually make it. How to make clove water. It's genuinely simple. Here's the version that works best. Take 3 to 4 whole cloves, not ground, whole. Drop them into a cup or a small pot. Pour over 8 to 10 ounces of water that's just off the boil, not still boiling, just below it. Let it steep for 10 to 15 minutes. That's it. If you want to build on it, add a small cinnamon stick while it steeps. Cinnamon has its own blood sugar and antioxidant benefits, and the two complement each other both in terms of flavor and function. A thin slice of fresh ginger works well too. Drink it warm. Most people find morning works best, before or with breakfast. Some prefer it in the evening as a wind-down drink, which is also a reasonable choice given Eugenol's mild, relaxing properties. 1 cup a day is enough. Don't overconsume it. Eugenol in very high doses can actually stress the liver rather than support it, so more is not better here. 1 cup, consistently, over time. That's the habit. One important note. If you're on blood-thinning medication, warfarin, aspirin, anything in that category, talk to your doctor before making clove water a daily habit. Eugenol has mild anticoagulant properties, and the interaction is worth a conversation. Same if you're on any medication that the liver processes. Not a reason to avoid it entirely, just a reason to check. So there it is. 10 benefits, 1 simple habit, 5 minutes a day. And I want to leave you with the same thing I said at the beginning. Not as a warning, but as a reassurance. Clove water is not a miracle. It's not going to undo a poor diet or replace medication or fix a serious health condition on its own. But that was never the point. The point is that the small things, done consistently over time, are what actually move the needle on your health after 50. Not dramatic interventions, not expensive supplements. The daily habits that ask almost nothing of you and give back quietly, steadily, for years. This is one of those habits. Give it 30 days. Stay consistent. Pay attention to how you feel. And if you found this useful, hit subscribe. I put out new videos every week on exactly this kind of thing. Real health information, real research, no hype. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.